Hello, everybody. I welcome you all to the Devtoberfest 2023. I am Rekha Dr, a developer advocate at SAP. I will be your host for this session. This session is week one of low code, no code sessions. The topic of today's session is Start Your Journey with Low Code, No Code Development. Before we begin, I would like to remind our attendees that you can earn points for attending this session by joining our Devtoberfest group in the SAP community page. By joining, you also become eligible for the Devtoberfest contest and have an opportunity to win a grand prize. So, what you will get to win as a grand prize? An all expense paid trip to SAP's Newport Beach office in California, USA, and a VIP experience at one of area's major tourist destinations. Isn't that exciting? A link to the Devtoberfest group is in the description and in the chat boxes. I would now like to invite our speaker, Vanessa Misili Schmidt from SAP, to introduce herself and start the session on SAP Build. Over to you,
Thank,
Vanessa.
thank you, Rekha. Thank you so much. So welcome, everybody. I'm very excited to be part of this Devtoberfest, especially now that I heard you can win a prize in participating. I will maybe do the same and try that. Well, yeah, my name is Vanessa Micheli Schmidt. I'm Chief Product Manager for SAP Build. And today's session is on that product, on SAP Build. You will get an introduction on what it is about and where you can actually use it. And in the end, I will also share how you can start your journey, right? So where is it you can go and start actually building yourself. So let me maybe start with a little bit of context. So where is SAP Build in all this, especially BTP technology platform context? Where is it located? So as you know, the SAP BTP, the Business Technology Platform, is our comprehensive portfolio of services, solutions, and technology, all actually in line with what our customers need. And we want to, with the BTP, we want to give you the possibility to create personal experiences, to build these experiences in a certain business context with actually the possibility to be agile. And then to run what you have built then with a confidence on that enterprise grade platform. And when you look at the bottom, you can actually see all these options that I just mentioned that we allow, that we give you services for application development, for automation and integration. We also offer data and analytics products, but also there's AI services that we infuse in everything that we do. Looking at maybe again at the BTP and the bigger context on top of all that, on top of that platform, we can see then the specific business solutions, HR, for instance, spend management, etc. And on the very top, you can see all the processes that you in your enterprises actually need in order to be that intelligent, sustainable enterprise we want you actually to be. I say that in order to put build in the context, and this is actually where build is sitting, so to say. We talk about application development in a low-code context, but and that includes actually also automation and integration. I've added this slide to give a little bit more details. Maybe you can also afterwards revisit the slides and look into this a little bit longer. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just want to show again, application development does comprise for us pro code development, maybe also no business application studio, but the visual low code, no code experience is what we concentrate on today. On the automation, this is also, as you might know, maybe a summary a summary maybe of different services in the automation context. For instance, workflow management, robotic process automation, and then we offer also a vast amount already of process monitoring and analytics. Here is one example of actually where we infuse intelligence, and that is automated document processing. Yeah, I won't go into further details of this BTP offering. As said, you can revisit the slides later. So yeah, I'd like to start maybe with asking the question, why SAP Build at all? Why low-code, no-code offerings? Well, I think the last 3 years actually showed us that there are actually volatile market conditions, right? So the business requirements in companies, they are constantly changing. They are constantly evolving. And this actually leads to this insecure economic environment that does create a certain pressure to keep up with this dynamic change. And it does also, the need incurs that you need to be agile in everything that you do. The next problem that many of us actually face, though, is that there are limited resources and there's actually a developer scarcity. So companies are under this increased pressure to deliver more with less, actually, and to help ensure this resilience and this future growth that is actually needed. And this they need to do despite this talent gap that also everybody's talking about, right? And since many companies have actually these limited developer resources available, they are looking for ways how to increase developer productivity, or also how to actually enable another set of personas, so to say, to create applications. And actually, low-code, no-code tools are one way to overcome this challenge. Another topic is the complex IT landscape. So the enterprises all need to make sure that applications and IT assets, that they can be managed effectively, that they can be quickly delivered as quickly as possible. And this means actually that everybody's trying to make most of their IT investments while innovating does remain a challenge, so to say. So as mentioned, low-code, no-code tools can, to a certain degree, counteract against these challenges. It can enable more people in organizations to create enterprise software and help them navigate this agile and high-pressure times. We want to look maybe quickly at a couple of numbers that revisit the points that I have just mentioned. So there is actually a certain number that 4 million of developers are actually lacking by 2025, right? So this is one of the numbers that we get from our analysts. Also, low-code usage is already prevalent, so many companies already look into this offerings and are trying and starting to develop here already. And developers are embracing low-code, and this is also maybe one of the reasons why I'm here today, to show you what the advantages are to actually start developing with a low-code, no-code tool. So having said that, a lot actually about SAP Build, let's now have a look into what Build is. So I said it already, SAP Build is a tool for low-code visual programming on the SAP BTP, on the business technology platform. And it comprises of actually 3 different services. One is called SAP Build Apps, and Build Apps is there to create business applications. The second is SAP Build Process Automation. Process automation is there to help you automate your processes, create these workflows and robotic process automations. And the third service is SAP Build Workzone. And Workzone is there to design business sites for yourself, but also maybe for a whole community. And the common denominator of all these services is that you can build visually. That is, you do not need to create code. Second is you can integrate seamlessly. So we are integrating these 3 services more and more. But the second part of integration here also means integration into SAP software, into SAP solutions, and that they can actually be extended and augmented with the help of SAP Build. And the third point that they share is you can actually collaborate securely. You can create an asset in one of these services and then use it into another one. So one example here is, for instance, you build a process and you want this process to be triggered from an application that you have built in Build Apps, for instance. And these are the integrations that a few of them are already there. A few of them will be coming in the course of this year. And all of this, as said already, it sits in the business technology platform context. So I brought a little video, and now let's have a look at that. Here we go. So everything that you do in Build begins in the so-called lobby, and here you decide what you want to do. In this case, you start by building an application. You choose if it should be a web or mobile application. You give it a name, and then you click create, and a project is created. You then go into the canvas, and here I mentioned already, you can now with drag and drop simplicity move UI elements onto the canvas and then change their name. Here in the data tab, you can actually now connect to SAP systems. And here it's also important that authorizations are covered, but you can also create a backend yourself in SAP Build apps. So Build apps is not just front end development, but it's also allows you to create your backend, or here even the custom logic. And you can see that also here, this is adapted to the so-called citizen developer, not a real developer in the sense of writing code, but someone who wants to build visually. And in the logic tab, you can now create this business logic that you need in your application. Same holds here for the process that you want to create. In the lobby, you create a project for the process automation you want to build. And you can see that here, for instance, the application we've built in the Build Apps canvas just before is now the trigger for your process. And also here with drag and drop simplicity, you can start by adding different assets to your processes, and you don't need to write a single line of code in order to create these high-fledged assets. You can also, you don't need to start from scratch all the time. You can also go to our store. Apologies. And in the store, you find a lot of pre-built content already. You can search in the store for different LOBs. Actually, here you're looking for chemicals, and then you can start from there and refine that process that you import. In WorkZone, you do the same. You go into the lobby, you open a canvas here as well, and then you can create a WorkZone page. Here you can see one with all different kinds of content. And as said, here also you do not need to program. You can do that all with drag and drop simplicity. Going back to the lobby here, you can see a list of all the projects that you have created. You can also see their status, if they are deployed or released. And here in the yellow brackets, you can now see all the assets that you saw just in the video that I have just shared. So this is just to give you an idea of what it looks like, really a first glimpse of what you can do in SAP Build. So I thought it's good maybe to tell you what our strategic priorities have been and actually still are in 2023, so that you know what it is that we are still working on. I mean, maybe I should have mentioned in the beginning, SAP Build is still a very young product, right? We only released it in November last year. So we know that it's not perfect yet, right? So there's still a lot that needs to improve, but maybe when you start working with it, you can see actually that these are things, maybe when you started in November and now you continue half a year later, you can see that a lot of things have already been improved. And one is actually our integrated user experience and functionality. So you can imagine when we plugged these three services together and we gave them one name, a lot of work needed to be done actually to integrate the user experience, so that when you now use process automation and build apps, that the user experience is actually a consistent one, and that you can create end-to-end scenarios, and that it still feels that here you're working on a connected platform, and that it's actually, as said, that it has an integrated user experience. So this has been one of our focus topics this year, and as said, there's still a couple of things to come until end of 2023. We cannot talk about low code without actually mentioning enterprise trust and governance. So whenever I talk to customers, this is of course the first thing that they mention, right? So what if now everybody can create applications, can create processes, process automation in the enterprise context? So there need to be good ways to actually govern this process, and the governance can actually start from the ideation process and should go until lifecycle management of whatever asset you have created in SAP Build, right? So here we're really putting a lot of focus into that, like somebody having an idea on what to create in SAP Build, and then needs to be certified actually first to be allowed to do that. And IT, we're really working very closely with our IT here at SAP, but also with IT departments of our customers. We talk to them and we ask them what would you need in such a context, and the offering is already there. There's already parts available, but we are enhancing this as we speak actually to make this even better. Third focus topic is the deep integration into SAP applications, right? This is something where we believe we can really score with, because when you now create something, you create in your enterprise context and in your enterprise, you create an application. This is easily connected into your SAP system. This is where the power of Build is actually, I think, most visible, that you can quickly create extensions to the SAP offerings that we offer to you in your business context. And the fourth topic, you briefly saw that, but very quickly only in that video that I showed in the process automation context. We have a lot of pre-built content already. So in the Business Accelerator Hub, you can actually find a lot of content packages, and the offering is growing also as we speak. So there will be application templates, and there are already a lot of bots or process automations that you can import, and then, as said, you can refine them, use them as a kind of a template, and then adapt them to the needs that you actually have. All right, so let's now double click on all the three services, and let's start with Build Apps. Actually, you saw in the video already that we have this this visual canvas where you, on the left, you have your menu, and then you pull all the UI elements, you just pull them into your screen. And then on the right, you are able in the menu to actually adapt what you just pulled in there and add text and titles, etc. And here you can actually, on the bottom, you can see also how the business logic is actually implemented if you need it. So say you have a button and you want to tell that button what it's supposed to be doing on your application UI, you can do that here also per drag and drop in Build Apps. So the key capabilities are summarized on this slide. And you can see, so we have Build Apps here in the middle. You can see there's a connection to Build Process Automation on the left. And I mentioned that already. You can create an application, and this application can actually serve as a trigger to start a process that you have modeled in Build Process Automation. So this is what we mean by this connection here on the left. On the right, we have a connection to Build Workzone. So what is mostly done is that when you create an application, and you might want to expose that in your Workzone page, you can create actually a so-called UI integration card, and this can then be exposed into Workzone. So when you open Workzone as maybe your entry point to your working day, you can actually click then on that integration card and navigate to the application that you have created for whatever purpose it is that you needed. The Business Application Studio, actually, I did remove this because I think it's a bit misunderstanding if we leave it like very closely here. So, and why did I do that? Let me explain. So Business Application Studio, I said that in the very beginning, is our pro code offering, right? So here you can really go there as a developer and program an application. You can use Fiori Elements templates to build template-based applications, but you can really also do everything that you are used to from any other development environment. It's not the way, though, that you could start in Build Apps, creating an application, and when you realize that maybe the feature set is not as rich as you want it to be, you could not take that project and continue working on it in Business Application Studio. The connection, though, there is that you put in Business Application Studio, you can create, for instance, these integration cards that you need for this Build Apps application that is then exposed into Workzone. So there is collaboration is possible, but not in a sense of that you can start here and continue in the other tool. I just want to be very clear about that. So let's maybe have a look at the key capabilities as that. So easy creation of user interfaces with drag and drop functionality. We saw that right in the little videos. You saw that just before. You can create standalone applications, but also application extensions. There's support for mobile and for web applications. I mentioned the collaboration, and maybe here also the term fusion teams. I can mention that. So ideally, I would say in an ideal context, you have so-called fusion teams where the citizen developer and the IT person or a pro code developer would collaborate then. And this is also what we mean by this handshake. Yes. So then I talked about the integration with SAP or non-SAP system. This works via REST APIs or OData. The visual cloud functions in Build Apps, it's possible to not only create front ends, but you can actually create full stack applications that is front and back end. And you can create the data models and the business logic. And we use the B2B authentication and destinations in Build apps. So here is 2 screenshots. We don't need to go in a lot of details here, but you can see again the canvas. You can see here the business logic, that how it can be modeled. And here, this is a screenshot of the visual cloud functions that I just mentioned. This is the backend creation in Build apps, if you're interested to do that. So I listed here the recent innovations in the first half year. Feel free to revisit the slides and have another look. I just wanted to briefly focus on the first point, which is the Build apps integration into SAP Sales and Service Cloud. So this is one of the examples of the deep integration into SAP applications. So you can extend now in the SAP Service and Sales Cloud. You can extend that simply with creating an application with Build apps and thereby improving then the customer experience. And this application then can be embedded in the service agent desktop. So this is one of the deep integration examples that I mentioned. Another point I wanted to mention is actually the last one here, and this is that Build is actually included in SAP, in Rise and Grow, into these two programs that we have offered. So maybe you can check again, maybe your company is already a Rise or a Grow customer, and this means you already have Build licenses and can start implementing in your enterprise context right away. This is a screenshot on how it is embedded actually in the Sales and Service Cloud, but I will continue now with actually having a last look on the Build apps key investment themes. So important is also that we look into the software development lifecycle. So we, when we continue to add features to Build apps, it's important for us to also look into SAP technology that's available, that's already known to our customers, that you maybe use day in, day out, right? Because all this convenience that comes with what we have built already, we now want to transfer also into younger products, like for instance, Build apps and the cloud transport management services capabilities. That's actually something that we believe to be essential and important. So this is something we're including currently. The collaboration, I told that already. So here we actually allow also project sharing from the lobby, where you saw where all the projects were visible, that you can decide whom to share that project with. You might have a colleague you want to share it with to have a look, or you might have a designer where you say, could you please check and tell me if the design of this screen that I have just built is fine, or do you have proposals on how to change it? And then that person could actually make these changes as well. Third point is the extension of business entities and services. So here we're looking into the connectivity and into an example that's called guided experiences. We'll have a look in a little bit on what it is. I brought that as an example. I talked about UX. I said it already. So it's important for us to improve the development experience. And the last point here is what I mentioned before on the monitoring and governance side. So here we're working on topics that our IT tells us are essential and that we now in this year bring onto our roadmap. And there's here a QR code if you want to learn a bit more details on what's exactly on the roadmap. Feel free to have a look. So now let's talk about Build process automation. So in process automation, you actually can guess that this is about low-code, no-code process automation experience for these LOB builders, for these citizen developers that are sitting in the line of businesses, right? And also here, visually, you can build processes, workflows, and the related UIs actually in forms. If you don't need an application UI, but just a simple form, you can do that here as well. And let's now have a look on the functionalities here. On the left side, you can see integrations actually here also into Signavio. So we have in process automation, we have a connection to SAP Signavio solutions. I have another slide for that in a little bit, but also Qualtrics is connected, and then SAP and other non-SAP systems can also easily be connected. If, so to say, you might need some kind of data, you can import it here. On the right, we see the connection to WorkZone. That is, you can trigger a process from your WorkZone page. Connection from Build apps. I said that before, build an application and trigger your process. And to Business Application Studio, here as well, you have this collaborative settings that you can actually not create something here and continue there, but you can share the assets amongst users anyways. So processes and workflows, I said that already. This is one of the key capabilities of Build Process Automation. You can create the forms and multi-step approvals, task automation. You do have a unified launchpad and task center, so you can see all the notifications that you need to have in one unified place. You can build or you can create business rules and decisions in your processes. There's this vast amount of pre-built content that I mentioned before. We did infuse intelligence here, so we have automatic document understanding, and then also a certain set of process visibility and flexibility services. So you can monitor your processes and see where there might be problems, bottlenecks, etc. I said it just before, so we have this connection between SAP Build Process Automation and SAP Signavio Solutions. And you might think maybe, I saw this slide around TechEd last year already, which is true because back then we actually announced that we are working on this. What's new now is that this is actually now, everything on that is now available. So it's generally available. And it means that this tight integrations between these two solutions, Signavio and Process Automation, is now available. So what we offer now is that we have now this comprehensive set of capabilities that you might need for your transformation and for your automations. So we do have more than 135 tailored recommendations for Build Process Automation. And this gives us the SAP Signavio Process Insights offers us these recommendations. Also, we have in SAP Signavio Process Intelligence, we have these action triggers. So you can trigger automated actions through APIs from the Signavio Process Intelligence. And you can immediately or directly from there, you can trigger process automations, that is the workflows or the bots. And also, well, now with this combination of these two offerings, the process automation actually completes the process governance that was offered in SAP Signavio Solutions before. So the process automation themes in 2023, they are very similar to what you saw before. We look again at the process automation design. So here we are continuously improving the user experience. We look into the application integration of SAP, so deeper integration into SAP offerings. Infusing AI is top of mind with everybody, right? So where can we embed AI and process intelligence to actually improve the experience eventually even more? It's about application development and extensibility. So here the integration between the SAP Build solutions is a focus. And then the content package is definitely something where we're putting effort in, because I think this is something that can speed up your efficiency and much more when you don't need to start from scratch, but you can go to a certain marketplace and look for the content that you might want to start building, and then you start from a template and don't need to start with nothing. Okay, so now let's have a look at SAP Build Workzone. So Workzone comes in different flavors, so to say. The flavor you can see here is the advanced version of a workspace, where you have actually much more possibilities to what to do with your content, but also what kind of content to offer. So when we look at what Build Workzone actually offers, again, here we see on the left the connections, Build Apps, I said it before. You can trigger your application. You can have this integration card that it's exposed in your workspace. And that means in your Workzone workspace, you click on that integration card and then your application would start. You can also trigger a certain process. You could, for instance, expose a form UI on your Workzone page. And then when you start filling that in, the process is eventually triggered. There's also connection to Integration Suite, for instance, but also to SAP and third-party content. On the top of this slide, you see all the features that the so-called Advanced Edition that you also saw in that little video snippet offers. And on the bottom, we can see what the Standard Edition of Build Workzone offers. Let's start with what the Standard Edition actually offers. So first of all, and well, actually, Advanced offers the same what Standard offers, but then on top it has these additional features. So the Standard edition starts by providing secure and central access as that to applications, to tasks, and to processes. It's focused on a certain end user, so it's really about personalized and role-based user experience for yourself. So the Standard edition is really something, it's your personal SAP universe, so to say. But still, you can here also leverage business content from SAP solutions, from partners, but also a custom built solution. It also offers an optimized mobile experience via a mobile app, and you can customize here easily, again, here without coding, that is with drag and drop simplicity, your solution to your needs. The advanced edition actually then comes with that community aspect. So here it's really also about enriching business sites with web contents and multimedia widgets. So much more different kinds of content can be uh, collected or covered in your work zone. It's also about empowering end users to create, share, and communicate on content. So think here about your team, that from now on, it's not only about for you and yourself, but it's rather maybe for the team to share assets, to communicate on content, etc. It's also a way to organize the knowledge. You can use it as a knowledge-based document management system. It's supposed to be driving collaboration and increasing then the team productivity. If I have an asset to share and I share it with the team and everybody can reuse it, I think you can immediately see that value. And also here we have, of course, a lot of ready-made content and content templates. So you don't need to start with an empty page. You can start with a template that we offer, and then use that and make it your own by adapting the content, etc. So here, this slide actually summarizes what we just briefly touched upon. So on the left, what we have here is SAP Start. This is actually the newest member to that WorkZone product family. And it's actually your central entry point to the SAP Cloud solutions. And the best part of it is that it actually comes for free, right? So there's zero configuration costs. So here you can this is what it looks like. There's a little screenshot here. If you want to have a bit more features, there's actually, since all of them are based on the same WorkZone foundation, there's a simple upgrade path then, and you can then upgrade to the Build WorkZone Standard Edition. And I mentioned already, this is the one where we say it's for you, your personalized experience, the content that you need in your enterprise context. And there's then this advanced edition where you then move on to looking more into team efficiency, into sharing these assets. And then the content can actually be, it can look more different, can be much richer, and come from many different other different sources. So the WorkZone themes for 2023 are that we're looking again into user experience. You can see this is really something that is on top of our mind. We're working on this harmonization of support and also including UI cards. It's also supposed to be our cross-device SAP entry point. I mentioned SAP Start already as our newest member of the WorkZone family. And also there's this native mobile entry with SAP Mobile Start. Maybe you heard about that as well. So from your mobile phone, you have this native application that allows you then also to enter your SAP universe, so to say. We're working on also more build scenarios and use cases. I have one more coming up in a second. The admin experience and flexibility is on top of our mind, and then also the content package creation that I mentioned in the context of the other SAP Build members, that you don't need to start from scratch. We're creating template sites here in the WorkZone context, so you can just adapt them to your needs, but you're very quickly done already. Also here, a QR code to go to the Roadmap Explorer to see what is coming exactly when. So you get a bit more details here. So this is this one example that I just briefly wanted to mention. So think about a multinational company that's promoting and offering relocations to the employees, right? So you can move from one country to another. When you think about that process, this is really a complex full-scale HR process that is actually, that needs to take into account location-specific regulations, taxations, work permits, logistics, etc. So plenty of actions and approvals are required from the employee, from the HR business partner, HRBP, and also from the receiving manager, for example. There's also maybe external partners. You need an external partner portal for relocation support functions or something like that. So what we thought about is that this is actually a great example to bring these solutions that we just looked into a little bit, to bring these together. And the role that they play in this context is that we have process automation that looks into these relocation processes. So it's about task assignments, meeting scheduling involving the HR business partner and the manager, for instance. Build apps is there to build, for instance, customized applications for employees to complete assignments, or for HR business partners to input data or provide requirements. And WorkZone can actually be the relocation workspace where you have what we call a guided experience for employee information. And it can also be an HR workspace for the HR business partners. And on that screen, you see a little bit what this looks like. And it's going to be available end of this year. And in this guided experience, you actually empower new hires with the information and tools they need, both before and after hiring. You can improve their efficiency, of course, because certain logistic topics are actually already checked when they start working, right? You can simplify the complex onboarding processes across success factors, actually, and you can include third-party integrations if you want. And you can already connect these new workers with their mentors or whoever is somebody to help them go through their initial 3 months in the organization. All right. So I just very briefly wanted to mention enterprise automation because this is something that actually we also will create some noise in the remainder of this year. We announced that already at Sapphire, and this is another powerful combination of the SAP Build offering with, and you can see that here. I talked briefly about the connection with Signavio already, but now also integrated with SAP integration suite. So we talk about enterprise automation when business processes are automated or optimized end to end, and by a combination of advanced technologies as the three that I just mentioned. And this is opposed to traditional automations like workflows or RPA that focus on automating individual tasks or activities. So what actually enterprise automation offers with Build, Signavio, and Integration Suite and Embedded AI is that it allows organizations to now enhance their processes, that is to automate more complex end-to-end processes compared to traditional automation offerings. And it does that by breaking them down into smaller sub-processes and automating them individually. So this way, you can actually reassemble them into larger and much more complex processes that are easier to manage and allowed to scale. And I said it briefly before, it's about automating end-to-end processes. And here the pre-built content that I mentioned before comes again very handy because we offer this vast amount of bots, processes, and automation that you can now plug together into this big end-to-end complex processes. The business applications like S4HANA, customer experience, etc., they provide this rich semantic layer that we might want to access. And Integration Suite actually offers this native access into this layer. So this connection of Build and Integration Suite is actually also something that can be of highest value if you start creating applications. Yeah, and I mentioned Signavio before. So the process mining capabilities that they help is actually identifying process optimization potential. I talked about that recommendations before, right? So here, as soon as inefficient processes might be detected, automations can directly be executed in process automation. So enterprise automation with SAP can actually offer continuous process insights, bringing you quickly from insights to action, and you can be much more effective with the right tool and the right job to automate completely. Plus, the impact is actually accelerated to automate faster for immediate business results. And actually, what I will do, I will add here a link to a video that is available that shows that in action. And then you can have a look if you want to see more details after this presentation. So let me actually finalize this presentation with looking again into the SAP Build themes in 2023. And this is a summary of what you have seen just now in this presentation. So we're focusing on automating your business. So the process flow orchestration and automation, we're putting more and more enhancements here so that also the user experience in creating these processes improves more than it actually has already, and it will improve more in the remainder of this year. We put more focus on how to build applications, full stack applications in SAP Build apps, and also into the user experience of creating these workspaces in SAP Build Work Zone. I mean, 2023 has been really the year of integration for us. So here we will continue to offer much more deeper integration into LOBs. You saw a glimpse of what we did with Integration Suite, also as one example of how we integrate into the complete SAP portfolio, so to say. Yes, and with that, I actually want to end on this slide because this is probably the one that is also very interesting to you. How can you start your journey? So there's a couple of links here where we have a great community actually of builders already, where you can also post your questions and have them answered. But there's also a vast amount of learning material available, of tutorials, like really step by step tutorials that guides you through creating an application, triggering a process from that application, creating that process actually before, and then also creating a card, exposing that in your work zone page, so you can really step by step learn how to get the most of everything that you have just seen. You can also even get certified as a citizen developer. There is a lot of vast amount of details behind this link. And you might know our Roadmap Explorer to see what's coming in the next quarters, and also our Discovery Center, where, for instance, this step-by-step tutorial is actually located. So, and with that, I would like to say thank you. Here's also my contact details, and I would like to hand back to Rekha. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for this knowledgeable session on SAP Build. I personally learned a lot from this SAP Build session about the various low-code, no-code capabilities for citizen developers. They really look promising. For the attendees, I have an important note. In order to earn the points for this session, you may want to complete the assessment, which is based on this session. A link to the assessment is in the description as well as in the chat box. Thank you, everybody, for joining this session, and I wish you all a great day ahead.